Hi everyone and welcome to MathSux. This video is going to help you pass the Algebra 2 Common Core Regents. So we're doing this one question at a time. Here is question 1. For all positive values of x, which expression is equivalent to x to the 3/4 power? So whenever we see a question like this is called rational expressions, and we do here is just put x here. See that this is raised to the 3rd power, so we're going to put that there, and then whatever is here goes on the outside right here. So this is the 4th root of x cubed. So this is choice 1. And I have a video on a bunch of different examples if you want to check that out. Question number 2. Mrs. Favada's statistics class wants to conduct a survey to see how students feel about changing the school's mascot's name. Which plan is the best process for gathering an appropriate sample? So we want the best sample of the entire school's population. So keep that in mind when we look at these answer choices. Number 1, survey students in a random sample of senior homerooms. So looks like it's only for seniors, so that doesn't seem too great. Survey every 10 student entering art classes in the school, so that would get the artsy kids, but not everyone else. Choice 3, survey every 4th student entering the cafeteria during each lunch period. Maybe that sounds pretty good. Everyone goes to the cafeteria at some point. And then let's just check number 4, survey all members of the school's varsity sports team. So here we have the sports team, so that would be the sporty kids, so that seems pretty biased. So the best one here would be kids entering the cafeteria. It's the best sample of a random population, so that's our answer. Question number 3. Given x does not equal -3, the expression 2x cubed plus 7x squared minus 3x minus 25 over x plus 3 is equivalent to what? So here we can actually use synthetic division. So because it's in this form down here, the denominator is in x plus n form, so we're going to take the opposite sign of the value of 3 here, which is positive 3, which is -3, and set up our synthetic division. And then we're just going to take the whole number coefficients from the numerator. So we have 2, 7, -3, -25. And we could perform our synthetic division. So we're going to bring down the 2, multiply it, times -3, which gives us -6. And then we're going to add these two together, 7 plus -6, which gives us 1. 1 times -3. So it's just multiplying and adding. -3 plus -3 is -6. -6 times -3 gives us 18. And then -25 plus 18 is just going to give us -7, which is our remainder. So now we need to look at this and find our answer. So we're going to have 2x, and then we're always just going to take the x value 1 less than the one they have here. So we have cubed, so we're going to go down 1, and it's going to be squared. So now we're just going to look at our next value and keep descending in order of x values. So we have 2x squared plus, since there's a 1, it's just going to be x, minus 6 will just be the whole number. And then this is our remainder, -7, and then put it over that original denominator we have, x plus 3. So this is our answer. And then if you look at our answer choices, this is going to be choice 1. So I have a video on how to do synthetic division with a bunch of examples also, so please check that out when you get a chance if you want to refresh on how to do these. Question number 4. In a group of 40 people, 20 have brown hair, 22 have blue eyes, and 15 have both brown hair and blue eyes. How many people have neither brown hair nor blue eyes? So what we're going to do in this case is set up a Venn diagram. So we have identifying 20 people who have brown hair, 22 have blue eyes, and then 15 have both brown hair and blue eyes, so 15 goes in the middle. There's 40 people in total, and they want to know how many people have neither brown hair nor blue eyes. So how many people are left over that aren't included in this. So To do this, we know that 15 is included in the 20s because there's 15 people who have both brown hair and blue eyes. So that means out of 20 people, 15 of the people have blue eyes, and then 5 of them just have brown hair. And we got that by subtracting 20 minus 5. And then if we think the same way on this side, how many people just have blue eyes and not brown hair? It would be 7, right? Because 15 people have both. So we have 5 plus 7 plus 15 people. So this is the number of people have just brown hair, brown only. 7 is blue only. And then 15 is both. So that's where we came up with these numbers. So if we add these all together, we get 27 people altogether who have either brown hair, blue eyes, or both. But remember, we have 40 people in total, and we want to know how many people have neither of these things. So what we do here is just subtract 40 minus 27 to find out who's left over, and that is 13 people. So 13 people is our answer, choice number 2. Number 5, consider the function y equals h of x defined by the graph below. Which equation could be used to represent the graph shown below? So if you look at what we did, we just flipped it, right? We flipped it and reflected it over the x-axis. That's what we'd be looking for when we're looking at these answers down here. So let's look at what each one does. So could it be choice 1, h of x minus 2? If it was minus 2, this is actually a vertical shift down to our function. Number 2, y equals h of x minus 2. Within the parentheses, this is a horizontal shift to the right too. Okay, so we know it's not this or this. Now number 3. So remember about reflections over the x-axis, we always end up negating the y values. So here, are we negating the y, h of x? Yeah, so this is a reflection in the x-axis, and this is going to be our answer. Choice 3. And just to let you know, h of negative x, since we're negating the x values, this is going to be a reflection in the y-axis. So choice 3 is our answer. Number 6. For the polynomial p of x, if p of 3 is equal to 0, it can be concluded that... So this is based on the factor theorem. And what the factor theorem tells us is that when... So what the factor theorem tells us is that when f of k, in this case p of 3, is equal to 0, which it is, then x minus k is a factor of f of x. What is x minus k? We could see that it's choice 2, x minus 3, which is our answer. Question number 7. The solution to the equation 5 times e raised to the x plus 2 is equal to 7 is. So we're going to have to do a little algebra to figure this out. So first, to find out what x is, we're just going to treat this like any other equation. So we're just going to start off by dividing by 5 to get e alone. So this gives us e to the x plus 2 equals 7 or 5. So remember that with e, we end up treating this similarly with logs, but using ln. So what we're going to do is write ln of 7/5 is equal to x plus 2. So here this is ln base e raised to x plus 2 equals 7/5. So that's how we know we can rewrite it this way. I always like to think of a little loop to check myself. E to the x plus 2 equals 7/5. So we want to find x, right? So what we're going to do is just subtract 2 from both sides to get x alone like you would any other problem. So when we do that, we end up getting ln of 7/5 minus 2 is equal to x. So when you look at our answer choices, they have it rewritten a little slightly differently. This first choice right here is our answer, because if you rewrote this and switched things around, you would get -2 plus ln 7 over 5, which is this choice right here, choice 1. And if you're confused and not sure, because this one looks similar as well, you can always plug the answer into your calculator and double check yourself. So if we plug in ln 7 divided by 5 minus 2, which is what we got right here, and then we plug in choice 1, which is the answer, and we get the same thing. So that's how we know we're right. Question number 8. This is a doozy, so get ready. Okay. Consider the system of equations below. So we have 3 systems of equations and 3 unknowns. What is the solution to the given system of equations? So there's a couple ways you can handle this. You can guess and check each answer choice, but I'm gonna do it, the algebraic way. So let's have the goal of canceling out the z's. So we're gonna pick 2 equations to cancel out the z's. So I'm just gonna label these equations different numbers, and I'm gonna pick the first equation and the third equation. See, those z's are gonna cancel out really nicely. Let's rewrite each equation. This is the first one, and then the third one over here. And then we're gonna add them together. So we're gonna use elimination. So now we picked one pair, so let's pick another pair with the same goal, canceling out z's. So we didn't use equation number 2 yet, so let's use that. And then I want to use equation number 1, but this time I'm going to multiply 2 times the entire equation so that those z's can cancel out. So doing that, we get 2x plus 4y minus 2z equals 2. So I'm just going to bring this down. So we have equation number 1 again, but this time we multiply 2 times the whole thing. And then we're using equation number 2. And then we're just going to add the 2 equations together. So now what we're going to do is I'm going to rework this equation because this looks easier to work with. Now let's just set it equal to y. So we're going to move that x, and we get y equals 2 minus x. And then we're going to take this equation and plug it in for y over here. So we're going to use this equation now, 3x minus 2y equals 11. But now we're going to plug in 2 minus x for y. So 3x minus 2 times 2 minus x equals 11. Just distributing this, and we have to be careful because this is a minus sign. So we have -2 times 2 is minus 4, and then -2 times minus x will give us plus 2x. Combine like terms, 5x, and then we have minus 4 left over equals 11. So we have our first number, x equals 3. So if we look at our answer choices, we have an x equals 3 for 2 of them. So we got to keep going. Let's find another one of our letters. So let's look back at this one, this equation that we came up with. X plus y equals 2. So we have x now, so we can plug that in. 3 plus y equals 2. So then we get y equals -1. So we have 3 and -1. We do in choice 2. So our answer is choice 2. And then if you wanted to find z, just so you make sure that what you did is correct, let's just find z for fun. We have x plus, so just taking an equation from up here to find z. And it too checks out. So if we put these in order, x, y, z, we get 3, -1, and 0. Like our answer, choice number 2. And that's our answer. On to question 9. Monthly mortgage payments can be found using the formula below, where M is the monthly payment, P is the amount borrowed, R is the annual interest rate, and N is the total number of monthly payments. If Adam takes out a 15-year mortgage borrowing $240K and an annual interest rate of 4.5%, his monthly payment will be. So we're going to have to apply this formula with the parameters they gave us. So I'm just going to write out what each parameter means. Even though they tell us, I want to line it up so it's easy for me to fill this formula in. So now that I have this better organized, let's look at the parameters that they give us. So Adam takes out a 15-year mortgage. So when we look at N, it represents the total number of monthly payments. So if we have 15 years, we're going to want 15 times 12 months. So 15 years times 12 months is a total of 180 monthly payments. And let's see what else they give us. He's going to be borrowing $240,000. So the amount borrowed, P, is $240,000. And an annual interest rate of 4.5%. So they give us that as R, which is 4.5% or 0.045. So just moving the decimal place over 2. So now let's look at our formula and let's plug things in. So M is what we're trying to find, the monthly payment. P times R, which is 0.045 all over 12, times 1 plus R, 0.045. So I'm just filling this in based on what they gave us and what I found up here. So now when we plug this into our calculator, we're gonna plug it in one at a time because there's a lot to unpack here. Until finally we get our answer of 1835.98, which of course we were looking for the monthly payment, so this is in dollars, and we're going to round to the nearest tenth of a cent. So we get $1,835.98 for choice 3. Number 10. For all real values of x, if f of x equals x minus 3 squared and g of x equals x plus 3 squared, what is f of x minus g of x? So let's I'm going to write it on this here. Let's write out each function. And then now we're just going to subtract these two functions. So it's f of x minus g of x. So we're just going to take f of x, which is x minus 3 squared, and subtract g of x, which is x plus 3 squared. And then now we're going to expand each function. So x minus 3 squared expands to x minus 3 times x minus 3. Just going to keep it in these little brackets. And then x plus 3, same idea. We're going to expand it. And then we're just going to distribute and multiply. So what's tricky about this question is that we just have to distribute this minus sign. So we found, we multiplied x times x to get x squared and, distributed everything we needed to. But now we're just going to subtract everything. So positive x squared becomes minus x squared, positive 6 becomes minus 6x, and then plus 9 will become minus 9. And then we'll just combine like terms, and you'll notice that a lot of them cancel out because we have x squared minus x squared. Then we have minus 6x minus 6x. So this actually, combining these, we get a negative 12x and then we're left with 9 minus 9, which cancels out. So this leaves us with minus 12x, which is choice 3, which is our answer. On to question 11. If f of t equals 50 times 1/2 raised to t over 5715 represents a mass in grams of carbon-14 remaining after t years, which statement must be true? So remember, this is an exponential decay function. So the exponential decay functions, what this tells us is that this is the initial value, or the mass of the original sample. This represents decay, since our rate of growth is between 0 and 1. And then this over here tells us t represents years. But what this means is that this will be decreasing by half every 5,715 years, because we're taking the year and then we're dividing it. So now let's look at what statements might be true or not. So the first one, the mass of the carbon-14 is decreasing by half each year. So no, if this was just raised to the t, that would be true, but that's not the case. So already we can eliminate all of them actually, except for choice 2. So this must be true. This must be your answer, choice 2. But let's just look at it anyway to make sure this makes sense. It says the mass of the original sample is 50. So right, the original sample, yes, that's the initial amount that's always right here, and an exponential function. So choice 2 is our answer. Question number 12. Consider the graph of g in the table representing t below. So we have a graph here, g of x, and then we have a t of x table representing a different function. Over the interval 2, 4, which statement regarding the average rate of change for g and t is true? So we need to find the average rate of change, or the slope, over the interval 2, 4 for each function, and then compare them. So if we look at the interval from 2 to 4, this is the interval of x value. So if we look from 2 to 4, we're going to be looking at this interval right here. From here to here, we want to know the rate of change happening right here. So to do that, we're just going to find the two endpoints of this interval and then find the slope. So if we look at our first coordinate point for g of x, we have 2, and then this goes up 6, and then the other end of our interval we start with 4, right? And then we're going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And now we're just going to find the slope. So remember, the slope is always the change in y over the change in x. So when we do that, we're just going to be subtracting 10 minus 6 over 4 minus 2, which gives us 2. So now this was the slope for g of x. When we try to find the slope for t of x, notice they gave us in a table. So this is actually even easier for us to look at, because we just have to look at the interval from 2 to 4. So we just have to look at these coordinates. They just give them to us right away. So we have 2, -5, and 4, 3. And we're doing the same thing, finding the slope. y2 minus y1, we get 3 plus 5. 3 minus -5 gives us the plus 5. And then 4 minus 2, which gives us 4. So we have g of x is equal to 2, and then t of x is equal to 4. And now when we look back at these answer choices, let's see which applies. So we see that g of x is half of t of x in terms of the rate of change. So let's see, g has a greater average rate of change? No, it's less. That's not it. The average rates of change are equal? No. The average rate of change for g is twice the average of the change of t? No, it's the other way around. So that's not it. And so it must be choice 4 by process of elimination, but let's just read it to make sure it makes sense. The average rate of change for G is half the rate of change for T. Yeah, 2 times 2 is 4, so this is good. On to question 13. A parabola has a directrix of y equals 3 and a vertex at 2, 1. Which ordered pair is the focus of the parabola? So let's draw this out. We're going to draw a little coordinate plane. So let's look at what they give us. They say the directrix is y equals 3. So if we go to y equals 3, that's going to look something like this. And then the vertex of the parabola, the highest or lowest point of the parabola, is at 2, 1. So 2, 1. So that means our parabola is going to be facing down and the focus is going to be somewhere down here. To find out where it is down here, what we're going to do just is measure how many units away the vertex is from the directrix. So we see that it's 1, 2 units away. So we're just going to do the same thing because they have to be equidistant from each other. So we're just going to do the same thing going down. 1, 2, and then here's going to be our focus. So if we look at what point this is, we're at 2, negative 1, which is choice 1. I have a video that goes much more into detail about what all these terms mean if you want to check that out and review what these terms are. So that's our answer. Question 14. The heights of the 3,300 students at Ocean View High School are approximately normally distributed with a mean of 65.5 inches and a standard deviation of 2.9 inches. The number of students at Ocean View who are between 64 and 68 inches tall is closest to what? So here we're going to draw a little standard deviation curve, and the mean always goes right in the center. Mu, which they give us, is 65.5. And then now we can go up with the standard deviation. Sigma is equal to 2.9. So one standard deviation up, we're just going to add 65.5 plus 2.9. So we know one standard deviation up is going to be 68.4, which is, and they want to know that interval about, which is between 64 and 68. So we know we're going to be going up to this point so far, finding the probability within here, how many students are this tall, up to 68 inches. Okay, so now let's go down one the other way and subtract the standard deviation from the mean. So 65.5 minus 2.9 is 62.6. We need the interval from 64 to 68. So 62.6 is 2. So let's try about half of the standard deviation. So let's try looking at half of, so 2.9 divided by 2 is 1.45. So let's try 65.5 minus 1.45, half a standard deviation. So that's about 64.05. So that's what we're trying to find. So to do this, we're going to need our reference guide here that tells us the amount of probability, the percentage for each happening. So here we have the mean, and then you can see the standard deviation is a unit of measurement measuring each data point in relation to the mean. So you can see that going from the mean up one standard deviation, that's 34.1%. So that represents this right here. But we still need this guy, which is about half of that. So what's 34.1 divided by 2? It's 17.5. So this over here is 17.05%. So now all we have to do is add these two percentages together. 17.05 plus 34.1%. And let's see what we get. So we get 51.15%. And this is the percentage of people who are between 64 and 68 inches tall out of the 3,300 students. So we're just going to multiply 51.15% or 0.5115 times 3,300 students. and let's see what we get. We get 1687. So 1,687 students are between these two heights. So now let's look at our choices. Which number is closest to the number we found? And that would be choice 1. Question number 15. Which statement below about the graph of f of x equals negative log of x plus 4 plus 2 is true? Let's graph this on our calculator. So we plugged in f of x equals negative log of x plus 4 plus 2, just like it has in our equation. And then when we go over to the graph section, you could see what it looks like. So let's just graph it out. So you could see that there's an asymptote right here at negative 4. And it kind of looks like this. So now let's look at our answer choices and see which of these apply. So f of x has a y-intercept at 0, 2. So no, it doesn't. 2 is up above. So we know that that's not the answer. Minus f of x has a y-intercept at 0, 2. So no, if we reflected this over the x-axis, it would still not have an intercept at 0, 2. So no. As x approaches infinity, so we're going this way, y is approaching infinity. So not really, it looks like y is very slowly just staying towards the x-axis and not approaching infinity. So no. And our choice number 4, as x approaches negative 4, y is approaching infinity. So as x is approaching negative 4, which we know is an asymptote, y is approaching infinity. So yeah, so that looks right. As x is approaching this asymptote, y, the y values are just going to be increasing. This is going to get closer and closer to the asymptote and never touch it infinitely. So yeah, so this is choice 4. Question number 16. A researcher wants to determine if room darkening shades cause people to sleep longer. Which method of data collection is most appropriate? Census, survey, observation study, or controlled experiment. In this case, the controlled experiment, choice number 4, makes the most sense because that way we can control whether someone is sleeping in the room with these shades and measure how long they're sleeping. So we don't want to just like study them and observe them sleeping without changing anything, right? We want to control the environment that they're in. And census and surveys don't make sense here. You can't just ask how people are sleeping. We want to see how they do with these room darkening shades. Question 17. The inverse of f of x equals negative 6x plus 1/2 is. So to get the inverse, what we're gonna do is, so we start with f of x equals negative 6x plus 1/2. So it's just what we have. But now what we're gonna do is we're gonna flip where x and y are. So this is y, but now this is gonna become x. And then x is now gonna become y. And what we're gonna do is solve for y. So we flip them and then we're gonna solve for y. So we're just gonna solve for y like any other normal algebraic equation. So we get x minus 1/2 divided by negative 6 on both sides to get y alone. And then we get y equals x minus 1/2 all over negative 6. So if you look at our choices, there's nothing that exactly matches this. So let's break this out a little bit more. If we break out negative 6 under the denominator of each part of our numerator, we'll get negative 1/6x, and then this becomes positive 1 over 12. So what do we have here? This is choice number 3. Question 18. The expression x squared plus 12 over x squared plus 3 can be written as. So when I am looking at these answer choices, none of them really look natural except for, look even possible, except for maybe choice 2. So I'm gonna guess and check. So let's see. We have So I'm just gonna go guess and check with choice number 2. So we have 1 plus 9 over x squared plus 3. So if I play around with this a little bit, let's see if we can get it to look like this expression right here. So to get 1 to match this denominator, we're just going to do x squared plus 3 over x squared plus 3. So this is equal to 1. And then we're going to leave this the same, 9 over x squared plus 3. And then this is going to be equal to x squared plus 3 plus 9, because now that it's the same denominator, we can just add the numerator together and put it under that same denominator, x squared plus 3. And then notice we can add the whole numbers, x squared plus 9 plus 3 is 12, all over x squared plus 3. We need to ask ourselves, does this match our original expression? And yes, it does. So choice 2 is our answer. Question number 19. An angle theta is rotated counterclockwise on the unit circle with its terminal side in the second quadrant, as shown in the diagram below. So we're looking at this guy right here. Which value represents the radian measure of angle theta? So here is our angle theta. So it's represented by this entire area right here. And to get a radian measure, we just multiply the angle times pi over 180. So we don't know the exact value of this angle, but we know that this is 0 degrees and then this is 90 degrees. So we know that this angle is over 90 degrees. So we could just kind of guess that and say it's like 100 degrees or 110 degrees. So let's say it's 110 degrees. So now all we need to do is convert this to radians, and we'll look for the answer that's closest to this, because it'll give us this exact angle value. So to convert it to radians, we're just going to go 110 times pi and then divide it by 180. And you'll see that we get 1.919, which is the closest to 2, choice 2. On to number 20. The depth of water d of t in feet on a given day at Thunder Bay t hours after midnight is modeled by d of t equals 5 sine of pi over 6 times t minus 5, close parentheses, plus 7. Which statement about the Thunder Bay tide is false? So I'm going to graph this on the calculator to answer this question easily, and then we'll go through each answer choice. So to do this on the calculator, make sure that I'm in radian mode. So see, I'm in radian mode, so that means I can go to y equals and plug this in. So we have 5 sine of pi over 6 times x, I have a t, but I'm putting in x minus 5 plus 7. Okay, so now let's graph it. So it looks something like this. Okay, we got an idea. Now let's go to our table. Okay, now we're ready for our questions. So a low tide, we want to see what's false. A low tide occurred at 2 a.m. So remember, t represents time here. So in this case, x represents time. So if we go to 2, that's really like 2 a.m., we can see that this is really low. 2 is associated with 2 feet. So yeah, that is the lowest number I'm seeing in the y values. So that is associated with a low tide. So it is not false, because that's true. The maximum depth of water was 12 feet, so we found the minimum. Let's find the maximum. That does look like it's 12 feet. Y represents feet, so that's also true. So that's not our answer again. The water depth at 9 a.m. was approximately 11 feet. So let's go to 9 for 9 a.m. and you could see that it is approximately 11 feet. So that's not our answer. So by process of elimination, our choice should be choice 4, but let's just check it out. Make sure that's right. The difference in water depth between high tide and low tide is 14 feet. Yeah, that doesn't seem to make sense. We found that the maximum was 12, and then the minimum was 2 feet. So between those two, the difference should be 10 feet, not 14. So number 4 is our answer. On to question 21. A function defined as a sub n equals a sub n minus 1 plus log of sub n plus 1 times n minus 1, where a sub 1 equals 8. What is the value of a sub 3? This is a recursive formula question, and then give us that the first term is 8. but we want to find the third term. So let's just plug our numbers in. So we have first term is 8, and then when we look at this formula that they give us to find each subsequent term, we have a sub n minus 1, so it's just going to be the value of the previous term, which we know is 8, plus log of n plus 1, so that would be 3, right? Because this is the second term. They want the value of n plus 1, which is the next term, 3. The current term number, which is 2 minus 1. So this is a confusing formula, I'm not going to lie, but we can do this. And we have to find what this is equal to. So to find the value, we're going to have to change log bases. So the formula for that is log sub a of b is equal to log base 10 of b over log base 10 of a. So we notice that the b goes here and then the a goes down there. So let's solve this. We have, to do this, we'll end up going log of 1, right, because 2 minus 1 is 1, over log of 3. So plug that in, we have log of 1, -2, we're going to get a 0 already. So we know that this whole thing is going to be 0 plus 8, which will just give us 8. So now, we're not done yet, because they want to know, this was the second term, but they want to know the third term. So we got to do the same thing one more time. So we have a sub n minus 1, so the value of the previous term, which is 8, plus log of n plus 1, which is 4, n minus 1, 3 minus 1. So we're going to do the same thing, where we change log bases. So we get log of 2 over log of 4. So let's plug that in, log of 2 divided by log of 4. So this just gives us 1/2, or 0.5, plus 8, which will just give us 8.5, which is choice 2. And that's our answer. Question 22. Which function has a maximum y value of 4 and a midline of y equals 1? So we have a max y value of 4 and a midline of y equals 1. So a middle line where it's going to be symmetric about the line y equals 1. So if we look at the first example, we have a max value of y equals 4, right? But if you look at the midline, there can't be one, right? Because these are continuous lines here. These arrows show that this graph is going to keep going. So there's going to be no real definite midline. So this can't be the answer. And if you look over here, you have the same idea, but also this doesn't even have a max of 4 because these arrows are showing that this is a continuous function and that this is just going to keep going. So that's not the answer either. So now let's look down here. We have g of x equals -3 cosine of x plus 1. So when you think about, this is the amplitude, is 3. And then we're doing a vertical shift up 1. You can imagine that the max value here will be 4 because 3 plus 1 is equal to 4. So that works out. So let's graph this because this sounds like it might be our answer. So to graph on the calculator, we're just going to make sure we're in radian mode, and then we're going to plug this in. So -3. So looking at this, we also want to think about, so we see that the max is 4. We can even test it out here. And we see that the max is 4. Okay, good. Now in terms of the midline, we just kind of have to look at this and eyeball it. Actually, we can draw it in. Let's do that. So we have what? So yeah, that looks symmetric about y equals 1, right? If we were to look at this, we see that the maximum is at the same distance as the minimum. So yeah, so choice number 2 is our answer. And if you wanted to see why choice 4 is not the answer, you can quickly graph that and see 4 would not be the max value of y here. So if we graph this and then find the maximum, just go to the left, press enter, go to the right, press enter, and you'll see that the max is 5, right? Because we're doing the same thing here. We have the amplitude is 4 and then the vertical shift up 1, which leads us to the max value of 5. So that's not the answer. On to question 23. Which expression is equivalent to x plus yi times x squared minus xyi minus y squared, where I is the imaginary unit? So here we're just going to distribute each part of our expression to each other here, multiplying, and simplify. So let's do this one step at a time. So we have x times x squared gives us x cubed. Next we have x times minus xyi. And then we have x times minus y squared. And now we're just going to do the same thing with the yi term, distributing it. So we have yi times x squared yi times minus xyi, and then our last two terms, yi times minus y squared. So now we're just going to combine like terms. So we can see that x cubed is on its own, so we're just going to bring that down. And next we're going to look at this guy, minus x squared yi, and see if there's any other matching terms, and there is. And notice these actually cancel out. Minus x squared yi plus x squared yi cancel out. And then we have minus xy squared. And then notice right here, this actually I squared, since this is an imaginary number, I squared always becomes -1. And if you ever forget about what imaginary numbers convert to what numbers, you can always just test that out on your calculator. So if we weren't sure about imaginary numbers, we can just go second I hat 2, and you'll get -1. Now just multiplying this term times -1, which gives us plus xy squared. And notice now these two terms can cancel each other out. So the only terms we have left over are x cubed minus y cubed I, which gives us our answer for answer choice 4. Question 24. The growth of a $500 investment can be modeled by the function p of t equals 500 times 1.03 raised to the t, where t represents the time in years. In terms of the monthly rate of growth, the value of the investment can best be approximated by, and then we have all these different answer choices. So let's write out what we're given. P of t equals 500 times 1.03 raised to the t, and we want to find out the monthly rate of growth. So we just need to convert this and to change it based on the month. So there's 12 months in a year. T already represents years, so we just need to adjust this formula for months. So to do that, we're just going to change our rate, 1 plus r. We're going to change our rate and raise it to 1 over 12 for 1 month out of the 12 months within a year. Because the rate will be affected by this, because this is the yearly rate, but we want the rate in relation to the months. And as far as t goes, we need to multiply it times 12, because we need to have this raised to the number of months that this will be reflecting. So since t is in years, we don't know if there's going to be 1 year or 2 years. We need to know how many months are going to be there. So the 12 here represents and here is like the rate per month. So when we plug this into our calculator, let's just put 1.03 at 1 divided by 12. And you'll see that we get 500 times 1.00247. So just rounding, which they have right here. They have this number rounded already. Raised to the 12t. And that's our answer. So this is the end of part 1. Look out for part 2 coming to you soon. So if you're looking for more on this test, check out the playlist in the link below. And thanks for stopping by. Happy calculating. Need more practice? Check out MathSux.org for more questions. Link below. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Happy calculating!